We talk about roller coasters, and well, in past episodes we've talked about roller coasters, and that is what Tennessee athletics are. And I threw out maybe, just maybe, we're gonna get to wait until September for the next dip in our roller coaster, and well, that was just flat out wrong. That came this weekend as Tennessee baseball goes out and loses the series against Ole Miss at home. They lose games 1 and 2 by scores of 7-4 and 8-1, which that game 2 score makes it look way worse than it actually was, and then come out and win game 3 13-5. And Logan, it's a tough weekend, but we get through it, get to the midweek run rule, a team from the mid-state in Lipscomb, and honestly, if you execute just a little bit better, that score was more like should have been a shutout. Honestly, you should have been looking at a 14-0 game,
Sure.
but just the little things continuing to pop up. But Logan, how are we feeling after halfway through the work week, or more than halfway now that we're at the end of Wednesday?
Yeah. Really, 24 hours from game time. Um, you know, it's like I think I don't know if I said it just off the pod or said it to you on the pod, but I'm kind of starting to take the basketball mindset here, and it's just like I'm just going to watch them and I'm going to enjoy them,
Yeah,
but I'm not going to have any type of, you know, expectations that this is really going to go anywhere. I'd love for them to make their sixth straight super. Is that right?
I'll look it up, but continue.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 would be, I think, yeah, I think it's their sixth straight. I think they
Yeah,
started the run in 21. So that would be great. I'd love that for them. And you know what? Assuming they make it in, which I think they will, you should win this series. You're at home. You should win the series against Alabama. You should take 2 or 3 to Kentucky. That puts you at 11 wins. That
yeah,
would mean you needed to win 2 out of your last 6 against Oklahoma and Texas, which is going to be a tall order, but you would still like to think you can do that. And that would put them at 13 and 15. Is that right? 13 and 17 in the league. I can't remember how many conference games they play. But the usually with how the RPI works and how the SEC the value of the SEC strength of schedule, things like that, 13 SEC wins usually get you in. So um not even usually, it's pretty much the number you have to hit to get
yeah,
in. And so you know what? You could get into a crazy bracket. Maybe the 1 seed loses their opening round somehow and you
right.
win, and so then you don't have to worry about the 1 seed. And then maybe the team, so then you're in the supers. You win you as the 2 or the 3 seed win your little bracket or whatever, and so then you're automatically the supers. So then you're 6 years, which is great. Then you know what? Who knows? Maybe you get a 2 seed from another team, and you're more talented than most 1 seeds.
Yeah,
To be honest with you, you're not as productive as most all these 1 seeds. That's why you're losing. But pitching goes a long way in postseason ball, and consistently they don't have it, but they've shown flashes of having elite pitching that can go a long way in postseason ball. So I don't, like I said, I'm watching with not no expectations. I'm trying to keep myself from getting so agitated watching them, but still gonna watch and along for the ride. In games like Sunday, I don't know if they make you more optimistic about it or more frustrated about everything because they can do stuff like that. It's just a matter of doing it. So I don't know. We'll see. This is a big series this weekend. They need to get 2 out of 3 against Bama this weekend
yeah,
and get off to a good start to kind of make that final push towards postseason play.
yeah. And and the event that you didn't get to watch all the games, game one, lose 7-4, and really, it it was a very competitive game until the seventh inning. Just there was a couple issues, and it was competitive even with your starting pitching not being great, and he was good. He was good all but the first inning. He threw 30 pitches in the first not sorry, not game one.
Game
Uh,
two,
yeah, game
Coons.
two. Yeah, Coons threw 30 pitches, but you just got off to a slow start in general in game one, but it was still competitive the entire time. And what was really tough was Nick Abraham, Chandler Day, Will Haas, all I thought looked great in their appearances, and you kind of wasted those performances because Mac wasn't good enough to start the game. And you go from there and head into game two. Coons struggles in the first inning, but with them was great after that. The problem was the bats were just not there in games 1 and 2. Game 2, you went 12 batters up, 12 batters down. Your first 12 at bats, nothing came
Yeah.
of it. It took the 5th inning to get a runner on base, and it wasn't even a hit. It was a walk.
Hmm.
It might have been a hit by pitch. But you had opportunities to get runs, and really, once Ole Miss broke the scoring barrier and went up 1-0, the game was over. You knew it was. And then from there, and in game two, you were in a good position. You're down 1-0, and then you bring in Appenzeller. He's been great all year, and he comes out and has his freshman game.
Yeah.
What we've been expecting at some point, it reared its head, and I don't think it's the worst possible time, but there couldn't have been many other opportunities. Like, you'd rather him do that now than in game 2 of a super regional if you were to get there.
Well,
But
that's true.
and so he got that out of the way. But if Coons doesn't throw 30 pitches in the first inning, he probably goes another inning, maybe 2, because he was dealing. They couldn't touch him. And so then game 3 they come out and the ball just carried in a different way on Sunday morning. They also were hunting. I felt like they were hunting way more on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, looking for their pitches when they had fastballs, when they had things over the plate, sending it. But it's one of those things where I could sit here and say, man, the baseball team didn't do their part. But it's really hard to talk about this game or this series and not, just give a round of applause to Ole Miss's pitching staff. They were great. Sure. That may be one of the best pitching staffs that Tennessee plays all year, if not the best pitching staff. Just as far as overall, their top end pitchers were just fantastic. And then their bats were ready to go. And when Tennessee messed up, when Tennessee's pitching left something over the plate, Ole Miss capitalized.
Absolutely.
And I can't remember which guys it was, but at some point, Federico just stopped pitching to the man, and he just kept clobbering it. If he got a hold of it, it was going yard, it felt like. And
there's at least a hit.
Yeah, they had guys. Udermark was another one where he was beating the shift by hitting it. It wasn't like he was hitting opposite. He was hitting into the shift and beating it, just finding gaps, things like that. And Ole Miss is definitely heating up right now. Tennessee's caught them just while they're in stride. And so, but I think that, and Logan, where do you want to start? Let's start with game 1. Because I thought game 1 we were just going to continue what we had done in Starkville. You get out of the top of the inning. I don't think they gave up anything in the first inning. They don't. Chapman comes out, hits a home run. It's like, all right, here we go. We're back in it. And then from there, it just kind of went downhill. And you had a really bad 7th inning, and you had some bad fielding. Game 1 was one of the first times where I was like, man, our fielding just wasn't good. You had guys in the outfield diving for balls that it would have been better for them to just take the hop rather than let the ball get behind them. They're maybe pressing a little bit, things like that. It just, game 1 wasn't great.
No.
And so, like I said, bright spot, Abraham, Day, Haas, all I thought were great out of the bullpen. And they all did about an inning and were great. So anything you want to add with game 1?
No, it was just frustrating overall. I felt bad for Mac because it wasn't like he was just absolutely atrocious. The issue is that he just struggled with his fastball command some.
Yeah.
And when he was struggling with his fastball command and he couldn't find the zone with it.
Which, speaking of, the zone for the first 2 games was
garbage.
Awful.
It
was
bad.
Incredibly inconsistent. For both sides.
We got
both
spoiled.
Sides.
Yeah, we got spoiled in Starkville. That was the Starkville umpiring crew was the best umpiring crew that I've seen in college baseball. Zones were good.
Yeah.
They got calls right. You know, it was just that was a good crew. We got spoiled. Like he had trouble, and then when he's not when he can't command his fastball and spot his fastball, that's the slider and the cutter and stuff. It's just it doesn't really play. So that just made it hard. Like I said, the zone wasn't great, but just when he couldn't spot stuff, it was just he wasn't just atrocious. He just wasn't near what you need him to be.
Right.
But that just kind of has been the story this year, right? Like guys just aren't quite. They haven't just been terrible.
Right.
Um, they're just not what you need them to be. I
Right.
mean, listen, I've told you over and over again, I'm over Blake Grimmer in the 4-hole, which by the way, he moved in the 5-hole and he had 3 home runs. That's really is not a direct correlation to the whole 5-hole thing, but I'm just saying. Um, but like guys just as a whole have not just fully been what you've needed.
Right.
I mean, like if I asked you who, and this is, I know you asked me about game one. I'm kind of just getting off on a soliloquy here. I know the listeners didn't know I knew a word like soliloquy, but I do. Um, if I asked you who's been our most productive 3 hitters in conference play, who would you say?
My guesses are going to be Manny Marin, Reese
And I
Chapman.
and hey, let me preface this. Um, Trent Grondlinger does not count. He does not have enough at bats yet.
Yeah. So Manny Marin
Okay.
in conference play. I don't want to overreact to the last couple weeks, but Jay Abernathy's been really good. So I'm going to throw
Okay.
Jay Abernathy in there. And then, I mean, Reese Chapman has been pretty solid.
All right. You're 1 for 3.
Well, I know that it's not Chapman that's
Chapman's your correct answer.
okay.
Your 3 best hitters in conference play, based on average, maybe some like OBP stuff, and some things like that, have been Chapman, Levi Clark's hitting 271 or something like that, Blake Grimmer. Those have been your 3 best hitters in conference play. Marin was bad this week, and Marin went like 1 for 10, so that didn't help. But
Which
um,
I want to just I've texted it to you a couple times. Marin's at bats are getting better. It is
Yeah.
not like he was at the beginning of all last year, beginning of this year, where he's getting 3 pitches and getting sat down. Like multiple at bats going 6 or 7 pitches plus. And so that should mean the hits are going to come. As he continues to be more patient at the plate and find his pitches, I think he's going to continue to get better.
but that's what's the problem with this team in general.
Mm-hmm.
How many times, especially in big situations, do you go up and we have 3 pitch strikeouts?
Oh, yes, 100%.
It's ridiculous.
100%.
Ben McKee of 247 was talking about that the other day, how irritating it is. And he's not even, I mean, he is technically a Tennessee fan, but obviously from what his role is as a reporter, as a guy covering the team, it infuriates him as how many 3 pitch strikeouts they have. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like Henry Ford, I feel bad for him. It's tough. He's lost 20 pounds. The sickness has destroyed him.
Yeah.
Like 3 pitch strikeouts. But everybody. But like the conference play Levi Clark is what you've needed the whole year. If Levi, like, I don't need Levi Clark to be a 350 hitter. If Levi Clark was hitting 280 and had 20 home runs right now, that'd be great. I'd be fine with that.
Right.
He's got like 6 homers in SEC play. He's hitting 270. His at bats have been better. Like Blake Grimmer, I haven't figured out how he has the best batting average on the team in conference play, but he does. It blows my mind. Yeah, in conference play.
There's no way.
Yeah. So I don't know, like, but it's just all that to say, like, even with those guys, those were guys you technically expected to be your bell cows,
right?
But the fact that we are shocked that those are your big guns at this point in the season shows you that they have not, like, it hadn't been good enough.
Right.
Like, they have to be better.
No, they do.
And so,
because your pitching is good enough.
yeah,
Like, yes, Mac was not great on Friday. He still only gave up what, 6 runs? Yeah, he only
yeah,
gave up
5 or
six
6.
runs. It was six, because uh, whoever came in the seventh gave up a solo home run. That should have been. My brain just stopped working, but um, regardless, Abraham gave up a home run, and so this program for the last 5 years, 6 runs, 7 runs, that is another day in the office for this program as a whole over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yep. Yep.
And I don't want to sit here and say that, this year's team has taken a step back from last year's team. I think last year's team still hit a lot of home runs, but last year's team's offense was not spectacular either. It sputtered at points. The fielding was worse. The fielding defense, or defense in the field, was much worse last year. That's what got you into some situations and some difficult things. But your
Sure.
offense couldn't keep up at points. And so we're seeing a decline in the offense, but we're also seeing a completely different approach to the offense this year, because it's clear that Elander sees that this team can't just power their way through games, and is being more aggressive, which he's always been aggressive in base running. But, we're seeing bunts. We're seeing guys move. Like, we're seeing much more movement, I feel like, on the bases than we have in the last couple years. And so, I mean, yeah, game one, and everything we said about game one, you could say about game two. I think the biggest thing, which I've already talked
Yeah.
about, is that Appenzeller, I mean, he looked like a freshman. He couldn't find the zone, which that goes back to an inconsistent strike zone. I'm not going to sit here and say, if an umpire decides what his strike zone is and stays true to it, that's fine. I have no problem
Sure.
with that. Even if it's not what I would like, you're just consistent. That's all I want from officials in all sports, is consistency. If you're going to be bad,
Correct.
be consistently bad. If you're going to be good, be consistently good. When you go back and forth, it's just infuriating, because anyone that's played a sport knows that you can adjust your game for that one game, that one night, to how the refs are calling it, whether that's basketball,
Correct.
football, if you get 2 holding calls on you as an offensive lineman quick in the game, all right, I can't be aggressive. I've got to do this. I've got to show this, or whatever it may be. Same thing with basketball. You get a couple reach-in fouls, you got to stop, things like that.
Mhm.
And so, but the umpires in games 1 and 2, game 3 was I honestly wasn't paying enough attention, and the offense on both sides was just booming. That didn't really matter. But it was so inconsistent, because Appenzeller was throwing strikes that were getting called balls, and then
He was frustrated. You could tell.
yeah, like he was throwing to the same spot, getting a different call every other time. And I don't care who you are, that's just difficult. And so I think that's, and it doesn't matter what game it is, who you're playing, things like that. You cannot get through 4 innings and have only batted 12 guys.
No, you're right.
Like that you got to do something. Now, and part of that is they had a ton of hard hits that just were a couple feet short here or there. I thought they were getting good contact at the plate. The ball just wasn't leaving the park. Or they were getting good contact but sending it straight to people. And so, what's frustrating about that too is that Blaine Brown, he's who I've harped on the most about hitting straight into the shift, hit an opposite home run last night against Lipscomb, which Lipscomb, sure, but still, not only did he hit to the opposite side of the field, he hit a home run to the opposite side of the field. So it's possible. And I think that's what makes game 3 so frustrating. They come out and win 13-5, but I mean, there's still pictures of what has this year has been, and we can get to the positives over the last week in a second. But I think the 5th inning, you had a ball go miles in the air, plenty of time for one of 3 guys to decide who was going to catch it, and you just had a ball drop between 3 guys. You dropped a fly ball. And if that's not a picture of this year, I don't know what is. Something that should be routine and simple, made complicated and done incorrectly. I just feel like that is what this team has been at points, where they don't make anything easy on themselves. And if they could just continue to do some of these little things just a little bit better, heck, they may be a couple games above 500 in SEC play.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And, that was a weird play because Garrett Wright just moved to left and he thought it was Manny's ball, but Manny couldn't really. It was just weird. But,
Yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong. And, yeah, it's just like they always have to make it hard. They do. You're right. They always have to make it harder on themselves. And I don't know. It's nice to have the games where everything's clicking because it's like one game it looks like the bats are alive, but the pitching's not great.
right.
And then another day you get a great start from Teagan. You've had back-to-back really, really good starts from him, and then you couldn't hit a baseball into the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
So it's just, I don't know. It's frustrating, and they're going to get better. They're too talented not to.
Right.
They're going to be fine. It's just like this may be not really a rebuild year, but this may be like
It's a gap year.
a gap year. I guess that's a good way to put it because you got a lot of guys that aren't draft eligible. Like Grimmer will probably get drafted. He'll probably be gone. I don't think Jay will be drafted high enough to not come back.
Yeah.
Obviously Reese is gone. Manny Marin will get drafted. He probably won't be back next year. But like you're gonna return a really good nucleus. Like Levi Clark will be back. Garrett Wright will be back. Appenzell will be back.
You think Marin's going to get drafted high enough to not come
Yeah.
back?
Yeah, probably so.
I mean, his defense is incredible. So,
Because
you know,
that defense upside is so great, and his hit tools there.
yeah.
So yeah, he'll probably get drafted. But I mean, like I said, you still got a really big core nucleus with like I said, Garrett Wright, Jay Abernathy, Levi Clark, Stone Lawless, Appenzeller, Landon Mack. Like all those guys are not draft eligible. They'll be back.
Right.
So Blaine Brown. So
Yeah.
it's a big deal. And like I said, while it is a gap year, they should still be better than what they are.
Yeah.
Like this program should not be in a spot where you're like skipping years.
Yeah.
But there is a positive to take, and then like you have all these guys, Ethan Moore, who's redshirt, and they didn't think they were going to get him to campus this year, and he made it to campus, and I think he'll be a factor in the middle infield next year. So I don't know, it's going to be fine. It's just frustrating that like if they would just do things, make the simple plays,
Yeah.
and do simple things, and use the whole field when they're hitting, and not hit guys early in the year where the pitching staff not hit guys.
Right.
Things like that. They'd have a better record than what. So
Well,
I don't know.
and
It is what it is.
it's also too like, I mean, how spoiled are we
Sure.
that we're sitting here going, oh, this is a gap year, an in between year, whatever we want to call it, and this team is 8-10 in conference play, and they are 2 games behind 4th place, 3 games behind 3rd place right now. Only 5 games back from 1st in the SEC. Like it's just the conference. It's how the conference is playing this year, which it's always been good. It was good last year. Tennessee's been just at the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at the standings. You played the current number 1. You're going to play number 3. You've played number 5. You just played number 6. You play number 7, 9, 11, and 12.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy, dude.
There's 3 teams behind Tennessee right now, and Tennessee's played 2 of them in LSU and Missouri. And which is funny because I would say your most frustrating series have been against LSU and Missouri, even though you won the series against Missouri, but still. So it's just part of it is you got to pull yourself back as a fan and go, okay, the SEC is just in a really good year this year. It's not.
Sure.
It is a good it's always been a good conference when it comes to baseball. Well, not always. Just recently, it's been a very good conference with baseball. But it is on a different level this year, where the league is so compressed that
Oh,
8-10 is not what 8-10 may have been 15 years ago when it was just LSU and Vanderbilt running the conference.
yeah.
This honestly reminds me a lot of basketball, where you would love to just be a couple games above 500. That's going to get you a good seed in the conference, things like that, because you're playing some of the. Again, I don't know that Tennessee is going to play both. Play another team that has the level of pitching that Ole Miss does, and the level of hitting that Ole Miss does. This Ole Miss
Sure.
team that they played reminded me a lot of what last year's team should have been, where they had just heaters on the mound, and then they had the bats going. And if Tennessee's bats had ever gotten going consistently last year, that team would have gone to Omaha. But the bats couldn't keep up with the defense. And so I think that overall it is still frustrating, because you do go out and hit. I mean, how many home runs? What was the total number of home runs for Game 3? They they
For
scored
Tennessee, 6. They
yeah
scored all their runs off 6 home.
you hit 6 home runs in Game 3 of the Ole Miss series, and then turn around and hit where let me see here. How many home runs did we hit against, or how did they hit against Lipscomb? I mean, it was something high there too. Just but regardless, you are you've got 2 games back to back where the bats were hot, and
Yeah.
I don't even need home runs from this team. I just need
No.
hits. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. You go game 1, you have 7 hits. Game 2, you have 2. Game 3, you have 14. Like, this team cannot go from 1 hit to 14.
No, you're right.
And so it's one of those things where you need this team to continue to grow, and I think they will. But if they can just continue to do little things, and I feel like we just say the same things over and over again, so we can move on. But as far as offense goes, they kind of harped on it in Game 3 of the Ole Miss series, but there had been no 4-hit games this year from a Tennessee player, like until Sunday when Henry Ford got 4 hits. And I'm sitting there like, man, how spoiled are we? Because when they said that, I instantly was like, SEMO had that in Omaha in Game 1
Yeah.
against Florida State.
Yeah.
Like, how have we not done that yet? And so it was just a good reminder of what you said, Logan. 2022, 2024, those teams are not normal.
No, correct.
But the fact that we saw them in 3 years makes it really hard to not think
Sure.
that it should be
That
normal.
it should be somewhat normal, yeah.
And so, it's one of those things where you got to gather and recoup and get ready, because Alabama's coming in. But before we get to Alabama, thanks for listening. Make sure you like, rate, subscribe, share it with friends. If you see someone wearing orange, or if they did what Logan and I did, which was go to the inventory sale
Yes.
on Monday, and they're wearing their new gear. I may be wearing Josh Heupel's pullover right now. Sure, that is the only reason I bought it, was because it had his name tag on it. But it is what it is. Share the podcast with them. It's one of those things where you never know what kind of friendships can come from talking Vols, and misery loves company, and that is kind of where we are right now as an athletic program. But it is looking up, because the football team is 0-0 with their record, and they are undefeated. Basketball is bringing in a top 5 roster, and
We hope. It looks like.
yeah, it's going to be a top 5 class, not roster, but top 5 class. I keep seeing people, which we don't have to get into it, but there are people that keep saying that the roster currently is only a top 10 or top 12 to 15
I saw that.
roster. I've seen it multiple times. They say if they land Jukaris, it's like 6 to 8, and I'm like, do I not know basketball? Do I not understand this sport? But anyways, we're going to keep talking about it all. Jukaris hasn't announced yet what he is doing probably looking at the portal or looking at the draft, and Nate Ament has not announced what he's doing, and there are conflicting reports on where he stands with his standing in the NBA. So make sure you like and share. That way you can know when the podcast drops when we're talking, and you can share it with people as well. So let's look ahead to Alabama. It is a Thursday through Saturday series. So Tennessee's going to get one less day of rest. Tennessee comes off of playing probably the hottest team in the conference in Alabama, and in Ole Miss. And Alabama comes off of a road series at Texas, playing one of the top teams in the conference. And so that is a nasty 1-2 punch for Alabama as far as road series goes. I do not envy them having to travel to Austin and then travel up to Knoxville to play these two teams. But Logan, as we look ahead to Alabama, I think the first thing that comes to mind is what do you think is going to happen with pitching? You think it's going to be, same thing as always, or do you think that they're going to put these guys on more of a pitch clock now that there's one less day of recovery? Like, what do you think is going to happen there?
I mean, they did announce today that their rotations stay the same. So Max throwing Thursday, Coons Friday, Blanco Saturday. No, I mean, I don't think it changes that much. You're only talking 1 day's rest. Like, are they going to let somebody throw 110 pitches? No, probably not.
Right.
But I mean, these guys are still. You're to the point in the year now where everybody's stretched out how they're going to be. So, like, I don't think they're not going to sit here and only let a guy throw 70 pitches because he's a day short on rest.
Right.
Like, maybe he doesn't get to go as long because that arm just hasn't fully recovered or something like that. But no, I don't think it changes your pitching plans that much. Especially because I don't even know how many Mac threw on Friday. Like, I don't know how many pitches he threw. But
he still got up there.
Yeah, but no. I don't think it changes it that much. And you're to the point now where it doesn't really matter. Like you obviously don't want to hurt a guy's arm.
Yeah.
They want to be professionals. You have to keep that in mind. But you got to push them to as best as you can.
Yeah.
You got to win games.
Yeah.
So,
if I'm reading this correctly, Mac threw 104 pitches on Friday.
Well, still.
But they were gassing him because the game was pretty much over, and then there's a little bit of life that made you wonder.
Yeah. So no, I don't think it changed. I think they'll run them out there, and like I said, they may not go for 110, but I mean, I'd be shocked. I mean, obviously, it depends. Like, are you throwing 70 high leverage pitches and you've given up 6 runs? Like, that's one thing.
Right.
But if you're at 80 pitches of 2-hit ball and no runs, like, they're not going to pull them.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't see why they would do that.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And, you're going up against an Alabama team that, hold on to your britches, but Alabama is worse than Tennessee at the plate.
They are.
And it's, I would say, by a pretty significant bit. I mean,
All right. Do you know who else was worse than Tennessee at the plate in conference play?
When they played, no.
Ole
Wasn't it
Miss.
Ole Miss? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they're hot right now. They are.
Well, that doesn't mean much.
Right.
But you have to remember too, like, I don't care how bad they are. If you make mistakes and put guys on in front of Justin LeBron, he will make you pay.
Yes.
He is a first-round shortstop who can absolutely use the stick, and he will punish you.
Right. Yeah. And so, Tennessee's got to go out there and continue to do what they've done the last 2 games, which is be patient, hit when they go to hit, make good contact, and then just be smart. Make the little plays.
But that's the thing too. Like, don't strike out.
Right.
Alabama somehow is one of the worst fielding teams in the league. Even LeBron has 15 turnovers. 15 turnovers. LeBron got me in a basketball mood. Even LeBron has 15 errors, and he is a high-level shortstop. Like, that's not like him. Like, they will make mistakes if you put the ball in play. You have to put the ball in play and then take advantage of those mistakes. Do not strike out.
Which, looking at their error numbers, to put in perspective, I feel like Tennessee's had a good bit of errors, and I am shocked by the fact that they are second in the conference with only 22 errors on the season.
I'm about to say they've been pretty good on in the field. They've been pretty good in the field.
Alabama has 61. The next
Yeah,
closest team is LSU with 51. So
yeah,
you're not wrong. Just hit the ball at guys and see what you can get to happen. Because if you can just get on base, who knows what happens?
yep.
And you want to give yourself that advantage. But, you know, swinging at crap, chasing balls, chasing pitches that are clearly going in the dirt. That's happened multiple times. I'm just like, man, like I know I don't know what it's like to stand at the plate and see 95 miles an hour come across a couple times and then see 75 come across. But I would like to think that I would understand if something's going in the dirt, I'm not going to swing at it. But who knows? You know, it's way easier to sit here and say that than than anything else. And so, you know, it's one of those things where this is set up for a sweep, but you have to win. You've got to
Yes.
win the series because if you can win this series and get yourself, you know, back over 500, you know, you're looking at 11 and 10 if you can sweep. Then even if you don't sweep, you're at 10 and 11. You're
Sure.
probably putting yourself in a position to get back into the top half of the conference. Now, the tiebreakers are going to be really weird and things like that, but you know, you go from here and you're playing Kentucky after that, and then Texas after that, and Oklahoma. You got to get the easy ones, and this series is an easy one. It's probably, I don't want to say it is your easiest, because I think with how Tennessee's playing now, I don't think Kentucky's going to be as difficult or as thorn
I
in
was
the
like, Kentucky's
side.
probably the easiest. Alabama's still top 15, but you're at home. You got to win it.
Right. But I'm saying with as you match up, you're talking about if you can just get on base, a team that commits a lot of errors, that doesn't hit particularly well, and your pitching staff looking to bounce back, the recipe's all there for you to be able to go get the sweep. And so, and I think that I don't know how the series went against Texas. Alabama lost 2 of 3. They
Yes.
they went game one. They lost 2-10, and then lost 1-3, and then won 2-1. So you're talking about a highly competitive series for Alabama and Texas. And I mean, was Tennessee and Ole Miss highly competitive? Not really. I mean, games 1 and 2 were
Game
competitive, but it wasn't. Game 2 was. I
game
mean,
two was they blew it open in the
they
what, the ninth inning or the eighth
the eighth
inning.
or ninth, yeah. So game 2 is highly competitive, but game 3 wasn't at all. It wasn't like you were going into this game down in the ninth inning wondering who's going to win.
Yeah,
So you know that helps ease it a little bit. You've had 2 games where you've hit over 10 run. You've gotten over 10 runs. You need to keep that up, and
sure.
maybe stack some series on each other. And who knows if you're able to win 5 out of 6 against Kentucky and Alabama, you feel a whole lot better coming back home to play Texas. And you know if you can come back, win game 1 against Texas, man, suddenly you're feeling really good
Sure.
heading
Yeah.
into your final 6 games of the year before the tournament.
And your pitching gives you every opportunity to beat everybody you play the rest of the way.
True. You're pitching and you're fielding. I mean, heck, like
Yeah.
like we said earlier, the fielding has been very good, except when it
Yeah.
hasn't, and that's been in very short spurts.
Yeah. Well, and we've said it right. Like we keep saying, it just takes one flip, like one thing, boom, one thing, and then all of a sudden the bats could just come alive.
Right.
And we thought the Vanderbilt game that they blew, maybe that's the one. Thought maybe the Mississippi State series was the one, and then we thought maybe this Ole Miss one is the one. So like, it may never be the one,
It may not.
but if I mean, if it is, if Levi Clark really kicks it up a notch, if Henry Ford goes back to pre conference play, Henry Ford, if Blake Grimmer starts producing, that lineup gets a whole lot deeper,
It does.
and it
And
changes a lot of things you can do.
it takes pressure off of guys. And you know what? I'm just going to make the notion that similar to how hotels and high-rise buildings don't have a 13th floor because it's bad luck and no one would take it. I think we eliminate the 4 hole. We go 1, 2, 3, and then 5 through 10. That way, the 4
I
hole
would agree
doesn't
with that.
exist anymore because Grimmer was there, struggled. You move Grindlinger up to the 4 hole, and then he starts to struggle.
Yeah.
Looks nothing like himself. Like
Levi
obviously
Clark was bad in the 4 hole.
it's
Blake Brown
cursed.
didn't have the 4 hole. I agree.
So, I'm just want to throw that out there. I think the team just needs to get rid of it. And on their lineup cards, it is 1 through 3, 5 through 10. Everything will be better. So,
I agree. I'm here for that. I'm absolutely here for that.
but you had 2 games, and Lipscomb's probably not a high level opponent, but you had 2 games where your guys were the guys. You had Levi
Sure.
Clark, you had Blake Grimmer, you had Henry Ford, all being dudes. Blaine
Yeah.
Brown, like you need those guys to continue to step up and continue to go, and that's what you just said. But if these 2 games if they can stack it, win 2 games this weekend, win another 2 games. You don't have to be perfect throughout the rest of this,
Right.
but you gotta execute and you gotta get stuff done. So, Logan, anything else you want to hit on before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good. I'm just excited. I may be at the game Friday. It's TBD right now. There's a chance I'm there, so it'll be fun to get to see it in person. But Sunday will kind of be a bummer because I won't have any baseball to watch on Sunday. But I'm
Right.
excited to actually have a little baseball to watch on a Thursday night this week. So there's a
It's
give
gonna
and
be
take
good.
there.
It is, and it'll also be interesting to see. There's weather coming in, things like that. I'll be interested to see how that affects this weekend
Yeah.
as well. I don't know what here in Nashville it looks like it's going to hit Friday. I don't know what that is looking like in Knoxville, but should be that'll be something to watch as well and see if they potentially move anything up and what that does to psyches and things like that. So,
Sure.
but the sweep is on the table for sure this weekend, and a sweep of another top 25 team is going to go a long way with your RPI and seedings and things like that. So I think they'll win two of the 3, though. Although we
Mr.
said that last week
Positive.
about
I love
Ole
it.
Miss, and Ole Miss laughed at us. So, but
Well, you're Mr. Positivity. So
you said last week they were going to win 2 of the 3.
I don't think I said that.
I'll go find
That's
the tapes.
That's what I get for being positive. I need to go back to my negative. My negativity got them to the Elite Eight in basketball, so I'll return to my true self.
Fair enough. All right, everyone. We'll be back this weekend to talk through maybe if there's any more finality in the portal. We'll know by Friday who is fully declaring for the draft and things
Yeah.
like that. And so we'll know if Juke Miles and not
Juke Harris.
Juke Harris and Nate Ament have declared for the draft, and react to that. And Logan, I don't know if you know this, but the NFL draft is this week, and so there is a chance that there are some mock drafts that have 4 Tennessee Vols going in the first round. Don't know that that's going to happen, but very good chance that 2 of Tennessee's corners in Colton Hood and Jermon McCoy go in the first round, and so be interesting to watch and see, and we'll react to that on Sunday as well. So appreciate you all joining. We'll catch you next time. See ya.